When the storm clouds of divorce gather on the horizon, most men either crumble under pressure or explode in emotional chaos. But not the Sigma male. While others are drowning in drama and losing their minds, the Sigma is already 3 moves ahead, orchestrating his exit with the precision of a chess grandmaster. If you've ever wondered how the most independent and strategic men handle one of life's most devastating challenges, you're about to discover the Sigma's blueprint for emerging stronger from the ashes of a failed marriage. This isn't your typical divorce advice filled with bitter complaints or desperate tactics. This is about understanding how the Sigma male's unique psychological framework transforms what destroys other men into an opportunity for ultimate liberation and growth. Whether you're facing this battle yourself or simply want to understand the Sigma mindset at its most refined, this analysis will reveal the 6 critical phases that separate the wolves from the sheep when marriages collapse. Don't forget to subscribe to Official Sigma Male, because understanding these principles isn't just about divorce, it's about mastering the art of strategic living that sets Sigma males apart from the rest of the pack. 1. The strategic withdrawal. When a Sigma male senses the inevitable end of his marriage, he doesn't engage in desperate attempts to save what's already dead. Unlike the alpha who fights openly or the beta who begs pathetically, the Sigma executes what can only be described as a masterful strategic withdrawal. This isn't retreat born from weakness. It's the calculated repositioning of a military general who understands that some battles are won by not fighting them. The Sigma's first move is emotional detachment. While his wife is still arguing about dirty dishes or forgotten anniversaries, he's already mentally divorced, viewing the situation with the cold clarity of an outside observer. This psychological distance allows him to see patterns others miss and prepare for outcomes others refuse to acknowledge. He stops trying to fix what cannot be repaired and instead begins documenting everything: conversations, financial transactions, behavioral patterns. Every interaction becomes intelligence gathering. During this phase, the Sigma reduces his emotional investment to 0. He stops sharing his thoughts, dreams, or concerns with his spouse. Communication becomes purely functional. What time will you be home? The mortgage payment is due Tuesday. I'll pick up the kids at 6. This isn't cruelty, it's protection. He's building an emotional firewall that will shield him from the manipulation and chaos that typically accompanies divorce proceedings. The strategic withdrawal also involves physical and social repositioning. The Sigma begins spending more time at work, with his individual hobbies, or simply away from the house. He's not running away, he's creating space to think, plan, and maintain his sanity. He starts reconnecting with his individual identity. The man he was before marriage diluted his essence. This separation allows him to remember his own value and strength, essential preparation for the battles ahead. Perhaps most importantly, the Sigma uses this withdrawal period to study his opponent. He observes his wife's patterns, triggers, and likely responses to various scenarios. This isn't about exploitation, it's about preparation. Understanding how she reacts under stress, what her priorities really are, and who she turns to for support, gives him crucial intelligence for the negotiations and decisions that lie ahead. Silent planning. While other men stumble blindly into divorce proceedings, the Sigma male transforms into a silent architect, methodically designing his post-marriage reality with the precision of a military strategist. This phase separates the true Sigma from mere pretenders. It's where his legendary self-reliance and long-term thinking become his greatest weapons. The Sigma begins by conducting a comprehensive audit of his life. He lists every asset, every debt, every account, and every valuable possession. But this isn't just about money. He catalogues relationships, professional connections, personal projects, and future opportunities. He creates multiple scenarios, best case, worst case, and most likely outcomes. For each scenario, he develops detailed action plans, complete with timelines and contingencies. Financial preparation becomes his obsession, but not in the obvious ways. While other men try to hide assets or make desperate moves, the Sigma focuses on legitimate protection strategies. He consults with financial advisors and attorneys, not for immediate action, but for education. He learns about divorce laws in his jurisdiction, understands how assets are typically divided, and identifies legal strategies that protect his interests without crossing ethical lines. The Sigma also begins building his independent infrastructure. He opens individual accounts, establishes separate credit lines, and creates financial systems that don't depend on his spouse. He researches housing options, from apartments to houses, pricing everything and understanding his options. He's not planning to leave tomorrow, but when the time comes, he'll be ready to execute his plan within hours. Documentation becomes his religion during this phase. Every conversation, every incident, every broken promise gets recorded with dates, times, and details. He saves text messages, emails, and voicemails if his wife displays erratic behavior, makes threats, or shows signs of potential vindictiveness. Everything gets documented. This isn't paranoia. It's insurance against future false accusations or attempts to paint him as the villain. The Sigma also begins networking differently. He strengthens relationships with male friends who've successfully navigated divorce, learns from their experiences, and builds a support system that operates independently of his marriage. He joins clubs, takes classes, or engages in activities that expand his social circle and provide emotional outlets that don't depend on his spouse. Protecting resources. Resource protection for the Sigma male goes far beyond hiding money in offshore accounts or transferring assets to friends. Such crude tactics are beneath his strategic sophistication. Instead, he employs a comprehensive approach that safeguards not just his financial wealth, but his earning potential, professional reputation, and long-term prosperity. The Sigma understands that his greatest asset isn't what he owns, but what he can produce. His skills, knowledge, professional network, and earning capacity represent his true wealth. Therefore, his primary focus becomes protecting and enhancing these capabilities. He invests heavily in professional development, obtains additional certifications, and strengthens his position within his industry. If his wife can claim half his current assets, she cannot claim half his future earning potential. And the Sigma makes sure that potential is enormous. Legal asset protection becomes a sophisticated chess game. The Sigma consults with top-tier attorneys and financial planners to understand legitimate strategies for protecting wealth. He learns about trusts, business structures, and legal entities that can shield assets while remaining completely above board. If he owns a business, he ensures proper valuation and protection strategies. If he has investments, he restructures them intelligently with professional guidance. The Sigma also engages in strategic spending during this phase. Rather than accumulating cash that will be divided, he invests in items that benefit him long-term, tools for his trade, equipment that enhances his earning capacity, or experiences that enrich his life. He renovates his home office, upgrades his professional equipment, or purchases assets that hold value but are difficult to divide, like specialized tools or collectibles in his field of expertise. Professional reputation protection becomes crucial. The Sigma ensures his work performance remains exemplary, maintains excellent relationships with colleagues and superiors, and documents his professional achievements. He knows that a vindictive spouse might attempt to damage his career through false accusations or public embarrassment. By maintaining an impeccable professional record and strong workplace relationships, he creates a buffer against such attacks. The Sigma also protects his social and family relationships. He maintains positive relationships with in-laws, mutual friends, and his children, if applicable, without bad-mouthing his spouse. This isn't weakness, it's strategic brilliance. When the divorce becomes public, these relationships will remember his dignity and restraint, making it harder for his spouse to paint him as the villain in their shared narrative. 4. Calculated communication. Communication during divorce proceedings reveals the true depth of the Sigma male's strategic thinking. While other men either shut down completely or explode in emotional outbursts, the Sigma transforms every interaction into a calculated move designed to protect his interests and maintain his dignity. This isn't about manipulation. It's about professional-level crisis communication applied to personal warfare. The Sigma adopts what can be called corporate communication mode. Every conversation becomes documented, professional, and emotionally neutral. He speaks to his wife as he would to a business associate during a tense negotiation, respectful but distant, clear but guarded. This approach serves multiple purposes. It prevents him from saying things he'll regret, creates a paper trail of reasonable behavior, and often drives his spouse to reveal her true nature through frustrated outbursts. Written communication becomes his preferred method whenever possible. Texts, emails, and formal letters create permanent records of all interactions. The Sigma ensures every message he sends is something he'd be comfortable reading in court. His tone remains professional, his requests are reasonable, and his responses are measured. When his spouse sends emotional, accusatory, or threatening messages, he responds with factual, solution-oriented replies that highlight the contrast between their approaches. The Sigma masters the art of strategic silence. He doesn't respond to emotional bait, doesn't defend himself against false accusations in casual conversation, and doesn't try to win arguments that serve no purpose. When his spouse tries to provoke him with criticism, blame, or emotional manipulation, he simply acknowledges the communication and moves on. "I understand you feel that way" becomes his standard response to emotional attacks. During this phase, the Sigma also controls information flow like a master spy. He shares nothing about his plans, his emotional state, or his future intentions. If asked about his activities, he provides basic, factual information without elaboration. "I had dinner with my brother" doesn't become "we discussed my divorce, and he's helping me find an apartment." This information control prevents his spouse from using his own words and plans against him. The Sigma extends his communication strategy to include all interactions related to the divorce. He communicates with attorneys, mediators, and court officials with the same professional precision. He prepares for these conversations, stays focused on facts rather than emotions, and presents himself as the reasonable party seeking fair resolution. This consistency across all communication channels builds a reputation for reliability and rationality that serves him well throughout the process. 5. Absolute emotional control. The Sigma male's emotional control during divorce proceedings isn't mere stoicism. It's a sophisticated psychological strategy that turns his greatest potential weakness into his most powerful weapon. While other men are consumed by rage, grief, or desperation, the Sigma maintains a level of emotional mastery that both protects his interests and often drives his opponents to self-destructive behavior. This emotional control begins with radical acceptance of reality. The Sigma doesn't waste energy mourning what could have been or fantasizing about reconciliation. He accepts that his marriage is over with the same pragmatic acceptance he'd show toward any failed business venture. This isn't callousness, it's emotional efficiency. By refusing to be trapped in denial or false hope, he frees his mental resources for strategic thinking and practical action. The Sigma develops what could be called emotional compartmentalization mastery. He processes his feelings during specific times and in specific places, perhaps during early morning workouts or evening walks. But during divorce-related activities, meetings with lawyers, interactions with his spouse, court appearances. His emotions are locked away in a separate mental compartment. This allows him to think clearly and respond strategically rather than reactively. Stress management becomes a science for the Sigma during this period. He maintains rigorous self-care routines, regular exercise, proper nutrition, adequate sleep, and stress reduction practices like meditation or martial arts. He understands that emotional control requires physical and mental foundation. A tired, stressed, poorly nourished man cannot maintain the psychological discipline required for optimal decision-making during crisis. The Sigma also uses his emotional control as a strategic weapon. His calm demeanor often contrasts sharply with his spouse's emotional volatility, making him appear as the reasonable party to mediators, judges, and mutual acquaintances. When his wife becomes hysterical, accusatory, or vindictive, his measured responses highlight her instability. This isn't manipulation, it's simply allowing truth to reveal itself through consistent behavior. Perhaps most importantly, the Sigma maintains emotional control by keeping his eye on the bigger picture. He views the divorce not as a personal failure or emotional catastrophe, but as a necessary transition to a better life. This perspective allows him to endure temporary discomfort and frustration because he understands that this phase is finite and that his patient, strategic approach will ultimately lead to superior outcomes. 6. Post-divorce reinvention. The final phase reveals the Sigma male's ultimate mastery, transforming the conclusion of his marriage into the launching pad for his greatest personal evolution. While other men either retreat into bitterness or desperately seek replacement relationships, the Sigma uses his newfound freedom to become a more refined, powerful, and authentic version of himself. The Sigma approaches post-divorce life with the excitement of an explorer discovering new territory. He doesn't mourn his lost marriage. He celebrates his regained independence. This isn't about rejecting relationships entirely, but about returning to his natural state of self-directed living. He rediscovers hobbies he abandoned, pursues goals he postponed, and explores interests that his marriage responsibilities had forced him to neglect. Professional advancement becomes a primary focus during this reinvention phase. Freed from the compromises and obligations of marriage, the Sigma can pursue career opportunities with renewed intensity. He might relocate for better positions, start the business he always dreamed of, or invest time in developing skills that enhance his market value. His professional life flourishes because his energy is no longer divided between personal drama and career advancement. The Sigma also uses this period to refine his living environment according to his exact preferences. His post-divorce residence becomes a reflection of his authentic self, functional, comfortable, and designed entirely for his needs and tastes. Every piece of furniture, every organizational system, and every design choice serves his purposes without compromise. This physical environment becomes both a symbol and a foundation of his independence. Social life gets a complete overhaul during this reinvention phase. The Sigma builds new friendships based on shared interests and values rather than couple-based social obligations. He joins clubs, takes classes, travels, and engages in activities that align with his authentic interests. These new relationships are deeper and more meaningful because they're based on genuine compatibility rather than social convenience. The Sigma's approach to future relationships becomes more selective and strategic. Having learned from his marriage experience, he develops clearer criteria for partnership and stronger boundaries around his independence. If he chooses to date, he does so from a position of strength and self-knowledge rather than need or loneliness. He understands that his value has increased through this experience, not decreased, and any future partner must add significant value to his already satisfying life. Most importantly, the Sigma emerges from divorce with enhanced self-knowledge and confidence. He has proven to himself that he can survive and thrive through one of life's most challenging transitions. This experience becomes a cornerstone of his personal philosophy, that he is truly self-sufficient and capable of creating happiness and success regardless of external circumstances. The Sigma male's approach to divorce isn't about vengeance or emotional destruction. It's about strategic transformation. While other men lose themselves in the chaos, the Sigma uses this life-altering event as a catalyst for his greatest evolution. From the initial strategic withdrawal to the final act of complete reinvention, every move is calculated, every decision serves a purpose, and every outcome strengthens his position. These 6 phases, the strategic retreat, silent planning, resource protection, calculated communication, absolute emotional control, and post-divorce reinvention, represent more than just survival tactics. They embody the Sigma's fundamental philosophy, turning life's greatest challenges into opportunities for unprecedented growth and freedom. Remember, the Sigma doesn't just survive divorce. He emerges as a more refined, more powerful, and more independent version of himself. This is the difference between reacting to life and mastering it. If this resonates with your journey or aspirations, make sure to subscribe to Official Sigma Male. We're building a community of men who refuse to be victims of circumstance and instead choose to be architects of their own destiny. Hit that subscribe button and join the ranks of those who understand that true strength isn't about avoiding life's storms. It's about learning to dance in the rain while building your empire.